This is the August 2nd meeting of the Merrimack Conservation Commission. We don't have any members of the public here for public comment. We don't have any public hearings scheduled tonight. No appointments to do or review. Ellen, would you sit in for Gage as the voting member? That is it. But we have a quorum. Okay. We're on to statutory business already. If you want to go ahead and tell us about your project and your proposal, make sure your green light's on too. And before you start, if you would just say your name and who you're representing.
All right. Good evening. Matt Peterson with Keach Norsham Associates here representing 396 DW Highway, which is Neat Auto Sales for the proposed. It's not really site plans, but it's updates to modifications or violations that they had 6 months ago. They received a letter from the planning department. For most of you guys, I've got an overview up here. We had gone through with the 406 and the Overlook project right here. This is the Chris Ross self-storage across the street, the apartments that are here. And Neat Auto is this piece right in this location here. What I guess has happened over time is if you're familiar with this area, there's PS&H poles that go all the way down Route 3 here. I guess about 20 years ago or so, they were allowed to have them put a light up on a pole for you before we had luminaires and lighting plans and everything like that from the towns. And you could have your property, the gas station's lit, his was lit from that. Well, the bulb blew out, I guess, last December or so. And so he called PS&H to put in a new light. And obviously it lit up the world because it was a different light. I'm guessing once I get to plane board, but probably the residents up in the back here because now it's no dark star. It's heading straight up into the sky. So they got a violation for that. And when the town went out there, they had discovered that his back parking lot that he had also added an area of pavement right here. So they wrote a violation letter to him for this pavement and for the lights. We've been working with the lighting company to create a new lighting plan and looked at the drainage for his site. One of the things we have advantage of, I think you guys know, but I can send it around, but this is a picture of the 406 DW site. I think we know what the sand was there. We had done our test pits there. It's kind of obvious as you look at the aerial. You've got the sand that's here, I've got the sand that's here. It kind of all makes its way down to the river through that location there. So these sites here had have leaching catch basins put in again quite a while ago. And currently he's got one that sits right here at this location. It is underutilized right now in the sense it's not working. I don't think it was probably ever cleaned or maintained. I don't know if he even knew that it was a leaching catch basin at the time. So what we've done on the plan is two things. We prepared a lighting plan, which doesn't really relate to you guys, so I'll just quickly outline that. We did a lighting plan for the planning board. He's going to get rid of the lights that are on the pole here, so there won't be any more going up in the sky. He'll have his with just wall packs on site. To deal with the drainage on site, as you guys well know, putting in this pavement here is going to increase the flow that was going off property from pre to post. So what we'd like to do is propose 2 more leaching catch basins as well as fixing this one that's in the ground right now there. Again, this is a violation, so it's not a new site plan. I don't have notes about fertilizing that. I'd be more than happy to put them on. It's an existing site for him, so it's already been out there, and a lot of this is pavement that's here, and this is tree from the way back. I will say the good thing is the cars are on site, stuff like that. He's a kind of a step up a little bit, I would say, kind of in between used cars. I buy all my cars with 125,000 miles, so I buy a lot of used cars because it's a hell of a lot cheaper. Roll them to 300. So I understand the leaching catch basins could have some concerns and stuff like that out there. Again, with the soils that we have here, the facility these run, the cleanliness of it, adding a couple more, I think this really meets the intent of what we're trying to do on this site here. But obviously, we want to hear you guys' input and comments, and we'll go from there. And that's really it. 2 leaching catch basins, fix the existing leaching catch basin, and deal with the lighting that's up there. We had flow numbers. I mean, it's pretty minor, as you would guess. pre and post is 0.81 CFS for a 2-year to 0.96, 0.98, 0.11. So, we're talking pretty minor flows. And honestly, for the amount of drainage issues that I have from Rochester to Nashua the last 30 days, I have not got anything in this location here or any of our stuff that's up and down in the soil. So I feel really good about this location, what we're proposing. We just passed, I don't know if you guys saw it today, but the wettest July in 153 years. Yeah, it was a lot of rain.
Matt, I did, and this is probably a problem with my eyes, not your blueprints here, but what does it show contours on here? Is that what forces the water to those catch basins?
Yeah, so this is all flowing down this direction here. There's actually a leaching catch basin off here and another one up in here. So some of this had flowed off onto that property there, and then this flows down this direction here. This is 154 contour on sheet 2.
Okay.
And then out at the road is 154. So, we're pretty much flat right
And
there.
that new section that we're talking about, that's
This just flows, yeah, it just kind of graded up a little bit, and he just paved what was there
Okay.
where he had some cars parked on the gravel instead beforehand. So now it's actually getting to leaching catch basin.
it's not relying on curving or anything else.
No.
Swales
Yeah, everything
or-
high point is up here, low point here. So everything's coming down this direction.
Where is, I know it's a relatively small area that was added. Where is the snow removal or snow storage site?
It would be all up in the back here, right before the tree line that he's got here.
Okay. Those are my only 2 questions.
The second part of note 9 on page 2, are you still looking for that waiver for
So
drainage system requirements?
the waivers have changed to, Robert asked me to just do a full site plan waiver request. So we're actually requesting all the waivers that he will come up with or not come up with in the zoning section now, because he felt that would be cleaner because it was a violation of lighting and that to go through each little thing. That one there.
The second part of it,
Yeah, so what I was saying, so the pre and post, there is slight increases because of, I don't have any. He put this pavement in up here, and this goes uphill. I can't get water to go uphill, it's only coming downhill. So the only thing I do is pop in catch basins to pick it up, but there's still some that's flowing off from pre to post that he had there. So there's, like I said, the increases, let's take like the 10-year. I had 1.5 in pre, 1.7 in post. 1.23 in pre, 1.45 in post. So that's about a 0.2 increase for 2 locations. And then the third location is the same at 1.21 and 1.21. And let me just give you where those locations are. So here's our HydroCAD. So location down here, pre and post the same, 1.21 and 1.21. This catch basin here that I would like to have replaced and cleaned up is going from 1.23 CFS to 1.45. And then this one here increased slightly, but we popped these 2 catch basins in to pick that up, was the other one. So there were some slight increases, and of course Don's gonna do the review and Foster O'Neill and that kind of stuff there. But again, it's kind of a balance with the soils I have in the increase, and I can't meet everything with, so I was trying to work with the town on it.
thank you.
I'm not concerned about fertilizer or invasives or anything. The only thing I was questioning was, I didn't know, are you gonna use any bales for the catch basins?
No, I'd rather do a block and gravel.
All right, so then we don't have to worry about straw
I didn't
versus
put
hay.
that on there. Just because with pavement already there and stuff like that, I think the block and gravel would work better.
Yeah,
Um,
okay.
Picking up more, so.
All right, so we don't have to worry about that
Put a
then.
detail.
Anyone else? No, you good? I think what do we need, Matt? So what was the planning board looking for?
I'm in the aquifer, so I have to come to you guys, so.
Standard recommendation.
And, yeah.
Yeah, they're back on August, you're back on August 17th?
Yes.
All right, so I don't see anything that we need. I think the planning board said, send a letter saying.
The 2 added catch basins and repair of the existing.
Yeah, but that's already covered. And
Mhm.
we just really don't have any comments or anything, so we just send a letter that says we have no issues.
We're good. Well, thank you for joining us tonight.
Now, when I come next time, is it going to be up there for you guys to see, or how are you guys going to? Because the planning
Can-
board has computers in front of them. You guys don't.
Right. No, it can be on this.
It'll be on
we've
that.
used
Okay.
that. That
All right.
works.
Because I did get used to the last year of having the ability of showing a lot of stuff with
Mhm.
the zip drives, but obviously I can't see that far sometimes. I got to switch glasses to that. So that's what I'll do. I called. I just wanted to see where everybody was at. So. All right. Have a great night.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Matt.
We have no other items for statutory advisory business. That brings us to new business.
Yeah, where's the drinks and
Here you go.
Hopkinton, New Hampshire Conservation? The apple orchard is one of the chairmen in there. So I went to that. They had
Really?
a fire in the fireplace, and they had apple cider and
Oh,
ice cream. My client was like, "How do I get on this board?"
Wow.
It was
Yeah.
nice. Have a good night.
Thanks, you too. So the new business item we have is the NHACC handbooks. It looks like we have one here.
We do. Isn't it
You want
pretty?
to talk about the
Ellen has it.
decision that lays in front of us that
Sure.
requires us to act?
Yes, so this is a handy update. When I did the NHACC the conference that they have in November, I took a class and was given one of those, but I ended up just buying one of my own because I figured I want to take it and I want to mark it up and highlight it, and then I want to kind of make one that's very specific for Merrimack, but I do think it would be good to have one or two on hand in community development so that people can take it out. You know, right now Ellen's going to take mine home for a couple of weeks, and but if anybody else would like to, check one out, and it just is easier than trying to reinvent the wheel every time we have a new commissioner, to have something to hand them to say, here's some homework. So
Mhm.
go home, read this, and it will give you a good idea of what we're all about. So they're $20 a piece. That includes shipping, which is actually a pretty good deal because I noticed they spent $8.55 to ship it, and I felt like calling them and saying, send it media mail.
Yes,
So
that's the first thing.
yes, yeah. In fact, I might tell her she should really send things media mail. She'll save money. But I think it's a good investment for us. I would say we should get two of them.
Mhm.
Just have them.
That's probably enough, unless someone felt like. I guess that's the decision. Do we order 0 of these, which is an option,
Right.
or do we order a couple and keep them here? And is commissioners want to take one out or
think,
borrow
Yeah,
whatever
they could return it, I suppose.
and return it, or we could. I suppose we could order 10.
I don't think you need 10. I think
But-
that's a lot of, that's $200. We don't
Mhm.
really need that. I think if we have, and people are welcome to take mine home, but like I said, at some point, I'm gonna be literally going through it with a highlighter and making a mess out of it. So, but I think even if we get 1, 2 would be great, but
I think having a couple on hand would be good for circulating among, because this is basically explaining statutory things that I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
To get it, you assume you have what, two alternates at a time?
right,
Have copies you can circulate
yeah.
that they can bring back to community development when they're done.
I mean, I don't believe they're making any money off of these for the $20, the shipping and the printing costs. I think that this is a service that they're doing for us, which is very nice.
Did they hand those out at the intro course?
They did.
Yeah. think
That's
I
why I
probably
have
remember.
my old one.
Yeah.
Yep.
I probably have one somewhere,
Yeah.
actually.
I think you and I got one. We went to the same class last time. It was
it
in
was
Pembroke, right?
It was before you
Okay.
came on the commission.
It was helpful. I find it daunting, still I find it daunting, but as a new commissioner, to ask the appropriate questions for especially statutory advisory business, to know what sorts of things to look for on a site plan. And we were spoiled or continue to be spoiled because, Gage and Tim knew all those right questions to ask, could really look at a blueprint and dissect it.
Yep.
So we're gonna hopefully have a new alternate. Maybe we order 3 of them.
Sure.
It's an expenditure though, so we'll take a motion and take a vote.
We could do 3, if everybody is in agreement. Do you want me to make a motion for 3? 3?
Sure.
3, okay. I will make a motion that the Conservation Commission spend $60 to purchase 3 copies of the New Hampshire Municipal Conservation Commission Handbook, the updated version that just came out in 2021, with funds to come from Fund 53.
Do we want to amend the motion to not to exceed 65 in case there's shipping?
There's no shipping.
There is no shipping.
No
Okay.
shipping.
I second. Any further discussion needed? Okay. All in favor? That motion carries 6-0. There's my notes.
Okay, and I will ask Rhonda if she could order those and send the check out. Actually, I'm gonna send an email to both Linda at NHACC and Rhonda. I'll let them know that we voted on it today and to get that moving. But I'll let Rhonda know they're gonna stay in ComDev.
Maybe we can even have them here for meetings if
Yep.
they thought to bring them up with the packet.
Yep.
Might make it easier for someone to,
Sure, we can do that.
or for the 2-week period or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, if we leave, yeah, we can do that. Which reminds me of something else that I want to ask back when we have comments.
All right. Let's see, the next item, well, it takes us to old business. Commissioner reviews of the bylaws. I had a couple takeaways here, and Dawn really did some digging on some of these. A few of the things we discussed last week when we talked about bylaws at the annual meetings. Dawn was kind enough to, she actually watched our minutes and ran with those, and gave us some feedback on just a few of them. The first one we talked about was just, the composition of this commission. And the town, it's actually in the town charter that outlines, in paragraph 6-1, administrative boards, committees, and commissions, the composition of the Conservation Commission shall be a Conservation Commission consisting of 7 members. 6 of these members shall be appointed by the town council for terms of 3 years. Such terms shall be staggered, and 1 town council member shall be appointed annually to serve in the ex officio member role. I think that was one of the questions, was where that was, because we didn't see it in the charter, but it's actually in the Merrimack Town Charter. We talked a little bit about, members of this Conservation Commission sitting on the planning board. That's actually in the New Hampshire RSA statute 36-A. And the highlight, I guess, is it says the commission shall consist of not less than 3 nor not more than 7 members in a town which has a planning board. 1 member of the commission may also be on the planning board. And of course, that would have to be consistent with the town charter. Also, you can only sit on 2 of these governing bodies at any time. So again, if there were a commissioner that wanted to sit on the planning board also and felt like they had the time and bandwidth to do that, the normal process would apply, where you'd submit the application to be a member of the planning board and go through the appointment committee and so forth. Another one that came up was regarding individual commissioners as project managers, in terms of approving expenditures. And some instances where we come up with this, well, most recently we had one where we had the seedling expenditure. Unfortunately, I guess the invoice that needed to be signed, normally those would come to the chairperson. The chairperson would sign them and send them back. I think she emailed me the day after I had broken my leg, so I was sequestered here in the CMC for a few days. But those few days were important because we missed out on one of the species because the thing never got signed. So it's been an item that we've talked about on a number of occasions. For instance, on March of 2017, it was discussed. Again, in March of this year, it was discussed. And I think, we could amend our charter to say something different. But in practice, one thing we've done that is acceptable is basically when the motion is made, the language of the motion would include something to the effect that, Commissioner so-and-so is authorized to sign sign the invoice for this specific project or expenditure, and that sufficed in the past when we've done that. So if we felt a need to amend the charter, by all means we could. But if one of us is acting as the project manager, a lot of the times with these scouting projects or something, we represent the scout. We go to Home Depot. We pay the invoice there and act as the authority on behalf of the commission. It's something that's been talked about. It's been voted upon. A motion has approved the expenditure. So unless someone felt passionate about rewriting the charter for that one instance, I would recommend we continue to do that. And I guess the last one that we talked about here was kind of a takeaway we were going to provide more feedback on, and that was could an alternate serve as a chairperson or a vice chair? And really, I think, and Don did a lot of reading, and I guess when you look at it in reverse, I'm not sure it would make all that sense that you would do that, because the alternates never vote unless a member is absent. So if you had an alternate who was the chair, unless the chair was absent, we would never ask the alternate. You would be chairpersonless. Does that make sense? So
There's no presiding officer.
right, yeah.
And the vice.
Yeah, and when she kind of spelled it out like that, it really makes sense. So just that piece of feedback on that. I guess why would we ever do that sort of question? But that was all the feedback, and again, this will all become part of the minutes anyhow, so you can see it there. That were all the questions, all the lingering questions that arose from that discussion a couple weeks ago. Anyone have anything else they wanted to talk about with that item, that old business item? You missed it, Mike. But in case you didn't hear, you were reelected.
I saw that in the minutes. I did read the minutes today.
So bottom line is we have no changes to the bylaws at this time.
Mhm.
Okay, that, nice and easy.
Next item, or the only other item we had under new business, was the MCC supplies and the use of the shed. Did you have any?
Yeah. So I did talk to the town manager, Paul, about that. He did go and check my concern was what kind of liability was the town to have volunteers out there using power tools on the trails. He did check with the insurance company. The volunteers are covered by the town's liability insurance, so they would be covered. One of the things Paul recommended was the insurance comes in and gives DPW a class once a year on proper operation of some of these power tools. And so he recommended that if that's something the commission wanted to do, that they would take that class with the insurance company and be, I don't know if certified is the right word, but at least trained on the proper use of those tools. So, he said it wouldn't be ideal to have volunteers out there doing that, but there is a way to make sure that the town's liability is covered.
It's good to know. Is there a class schedule now?
We didn't talk about classes because I didn't know who
Right.
number of people that the commission would be interested in sending. But if that's something, you guys were interested in moving forward with the list and to do that, at least there's a path forward, and it isn't the long class that we talked about that the state provides. It's something, if someone can set aside a day, they can go and get trained, and I think the town would be comfortable at that point.
That would be good.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm usually what happens is you see a tree down, if it's bigger than this, I'm like, nope, call the town. If it's something that can get handled, they feel comfortable with, then, we take care of it. Because otherwise we'd be bothering the town all the time. There's trees falling down every couple of weeks,
Yeah.
basically.
And he did mention that would probably be too much of a stress on DPW to take care of all those instances. So, if the commission could, buy the tools or whatever and get the training and be able to handle, a percentage of those calls themselves without, getting with the town. And like you said, save the bigger stuff for,
Right.
the folks with some heavier equipment or something.
Or, yeah, just better,
Better training.
experience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Did he advocate either way about where to store those? Did he think that was something we should store in a centralized location, or have commissioners keep them in?
Yeah, I didn't discuss storage with him as much as I discussed liability to the town and whether it's something we should pursue. So he did mention that DPW was a strong advocate that we store it separate from their stuff.
Okay. Yeah, and that's what I think he had communicated to me in an email.
And it makes sense. The Conservation Commission goes out and buys a new chainsaw. The last thing you want to see when you come to use it is it's not a new chainsaw anymore. It's it's well-used chainsaw at that point, So,
And to do it right with the storage of, flammables,
yeah.
it would be really, really expensive with secondary containment and.
Yeah, it would be a problem. I know, if I was cutting the tree, I would just grab the one I have and go out, and it's less of a hassle. And the chain gets dull on greater woods, but
Yeah.
it's worth it.
Yeah, I'm of the same mindset as Mike. It would be less hassle for me to grab the chainsaw out of the garage or the basement than it would to go to a.
Yeah, one of the things though, like at Scalar, one of the subcommittee members, weed whacker, was taking a beating, and I know that's a gas run, tool. So I don't know, maybe if we could at least have, get some kind of hand sickle, or I don't know. I don't have that kind of stuff, but usually somebody does. Somebody in the subcommittee or something does.
I don't know the kind of use that they take and how much they're used, but a lot of the battery operated power tools today are far beyond what they used to be.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a potential option that would alleviate the storage of flammable.
Yeah, it would just need electrical for the charging.
Right. Yeah.
I thought of that, but I don't know if you need electricity or something to charge the batteries.
Andy's right too. A lot of them charge quick. If you knew you were going to use it Sunday, you
And you have
picked it up Saturday and plugged it in your garage.
and you have an extra battery usually.
Yeah, especially if you get like a family of tools where the weed eater, maybe a portable chainsaw or something, all takes the same battery. You could potentially have 3 or 4 batteries for the entire tool set, be able to swap them back and forth.
And it was anything huge, be calling the town anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, do we want to wait and continue the discussion when Mike gets back, or?
If he feels there's need, we can always add it to a future agenda.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I guess one of the things that we need to do now is we need a price on a shed, because there's no purpose in buying any tools unless we have a shed to store them in. So I don't think we need a huge shed, but we need something. So.
If we feel we need something. I
Right.
don't know. The sentiment
I'm
I'm getting
up in
now
the-
is I
I'm
don't
up
feel
in
like
the
we
air.
need something.
Yeah, I'm up in the air on it.
Yeah, I think Mike Druin's point was that for the people that don't have a place to,
Yeah.
they don't have power tools. So, and then the question becomes, will somebody go lend Mike Druin power tools, or is somebody just going to say, we'll get it, don't worry about it?
Yeah, or if you're doing, you're getting volunteers and you're doing a project or something, we always end up asking them to bring stuff, or
Is it
Yeah.
cheaper just to rent it from Home Depot for a day if we know we're going to have a lot of work going on?
An expense that we could easily vote on and approve.
Yeah, and that way we just make sure that we have some hard hats and goggles, and people should be able to have their own gloves.
I think that negates the spontaneity of, like, you want to get something done, you want to just grab it and go.
Yeah. Yeah, the question becomes for those that don't have access to the power tools.
Right.
Because Mike doesn't have a house right now, so,
Right, I meant if we had some tools in a shed,
right,
if everybody had the combination or whatever, you could just go
right.
and get it, sign it out or whatever. And, you know, you wouldn't have to worry about getting approval, going to Home Depot.
Right.
You know, we would
Okay.
lose momentum.
Okay. So I guess we need to get some prices on sheds, and we have the prices on the power tools, at least from last year when Hudson did it.
Yeah, but now we're talking about whether we want, if there would have to be electricity to power that, but if we wanted to get battery
Right.
or, it needs more discussion, I think.
But I think you're right, if somebody came and picked it up, like on a Friday night, took it home, charged it up at their house,
True. You
then
can
they're
check.
ready to go Saturday
Yeah.
morning.
That's true.
But I think that it's one of those things where I think that the code to, the combination would only be something that the chairs of the subcommittee should have. I think if you give it to everybody, then you kind of lose track of it, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and Bishop Field is a good central location.
All right, so we'll talk about it, because I know Mike Druin, he did give me a couple of things he wanted to talk about, but we'll talk about that later, but I have a feeling he's gonna have some input into this.
Yep.
We'll put this on the agenda for next week.
Takes us to other business, and other business really would only be subcommittee meeting updates if we had any.
I can talk about I'm not on the Greater Woods Subcommittee, but I can talk about why the bridge hasn't been done yet. So yeah, I mean, Matt was just straight out. I think you were part of the emails.
Yeah.
He was just straight out in June, and then so I have to get back to him and see what's good. And if it doesn't work out for the bike club, then we can try to get his guidance and maybe try to get some of us and try to get the Greater Woods Subcommittee going again, and maybe we could get together with Matt and do it if he has a problem getting the bike club together. I have to get in touch with him again. I've been gone.
been
But
gone,
I got in touch with him just before I left, and now I have to get in touch
This
with
is
him again.
which bridge is this at Greater Woods? This is the
So it used to be the Stick Bridge.
Stick Bridge.
It's on the. Now, that's the name of that trail. So the trail goes out to the Outlook, and the Outlook goes right. And you take the trail to the left, and that's the Stick Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes.
I can't think of it.
It's.
I have them
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does it have the name of the trails on it?
there.
No.
I'm just-
Okay. Yeah. So.
You pull it up on your phone.
So South Greater Road's kind of, yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
it's like in this area over here. But it's not Tadpole. It's Silverfish. It's on the Silverfish Trail.
Okay.
So Silverfish by the gate to South Greater Road. Right after the gate, you take a right, you take Silverfish Trail. That comes to a T. You go right, and that goes up to the Outlook. If you go left, the bridge is right there. It's totally gone unless he built it while it was gone or something.
Right.
Um,
I haven't seen any.
No, I don't think that because the wood wasn't purchased. Yeah, I mean it's shot. It's totally gone. You need a bridge. It's 16 feet long.
And we've approved funds to rebuild
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Matt Karen and his folks
So
expressed the willingness to rebuild it. It's just the weather hasn't been great either.
yeah, I'll get in touch with him in the next couple of days.
Okay.
And on Scalar, I think we were supposed to have a meeting, but at that time, another meeting. We've had a couple. But this meeting happened, we had to reschedule. I don't know when the next meeting will be for that yet.
Anything else?
As
with the
far as-
subcommittees?
As far as Sklar goes, the note that Mike Druin sent when he said he wouldn't be here today, regarding Sklar, he said rocks blocking one of the trails. Illegal off-roaders' use at Sklar have been moved and it is no longer blocked. Seeing as the RC Airplane Club wants to cut those pine trees, I recommend that we push forward with that and drop the pines in a way that blocks all trails where the off-roaders go. The size of the trees are too much for them to cut or move. Has he met the off-roaders yet? They'll move them. They'll cut them. They'll move them.
Yeah, I mean, those trees would have to be moved by something into place there, you
Well, I
know.
was going to say, I don't
And-
imagine they would fall neatly exactly where we
No.
want them.
And they haven't gotten back to us yet.
Right.
The Flying Eagles have not gotten back to us yet about, you know, they asked us about it and we were like, okay, tell us what you want. And they haven't, right?
No, that's been a while
Yeah.
too.
All right. As far as Wildcat goes, Karen she is now back, but she's been out of state for the last couple of months. And we're going to discuss when the next meeting will be. We don't have a date yet. I'm looking at Mike's notes, and Mike wants for us to explore expanding the parking lot of Wildcat or create a roadmap for getting that bridge built so there is more parking. We have already talked about expanding the parking lot of Wildcat, and we're not doing that, at least not in the near future. The neighbors don't want it, and it's not our parking lot to expand. It's DPW's. And we've talked about building a bridge, but that's going to cost over $1 million. So that's not happening in the near future. So for now, we're going to get through the summer. People are going to try to park as well as they can. So, I mean,
Wow, that big parking lot. Oh, no, you're talking about Wildcat.
well, yeah.
How has the traffic been there?
I have not had any complaints. I've heard, Mike went down this weekend. He said people were swimming, which people will do, despite the signs. I mean, there is access from the high school, although the high school is not excited for people to be parking there. But there is access from there. So if it gets super busy, then people can either go to another one of our properties or, park the best that they can or go down to the high school and access from there. But at this point in the pandemic, I think that people are finding other things to do, so it hasn't been as overwhelming as it was last year.
Right.
So, but anyway,
I can add some good news to that. Not
Yeah.
this past Sunday, but not this past Saturday. The Saturday before, we were contacted by a youth ministry group
yep,
who wanted to do some community service to clean up a parcel that they asked specifically, can we come in on a Saturday? And they came in on one 15-passenger van and maybe one van and one car, because I think there were about 18 of them, and they just wanted to clean up Wildcat. So
Yeah.
so great news is that that it got that kind of support, and this group picked one of our parcels.
Yeah.
Because I will add that none of them were from Merrimack. I don't believe
No.
a single one of them was they were from Lowell and Keene and Lawrence, Nashua. I spoke to a number of them because I met them down there to just fill up my truck with all the trash they had collected. But the other good news is, they spent probably 3 hours out walking the trails and picking up trash,
Yep.
and it wasn't overwhelming. They didn't come back with tires and that sort of thing.
Right.
They had 18 bags on. They all had
Good.
something in it. So
Good.
yes, so that was fantastic that they chose Merrimack to do this. And,
Yes.
and,
Are there a youth group? They're from the church,
They
right?
are Rick Pearson's group of the Latter-day Saints.
Yeah, so the church is in Merrimack, I
Yes.
believe, South Merrimack.
Yes, and he had offered last year to do the same, and we just never managed to get
Yeah. they're
together. So
Yeah, great.
this
He's-
time Steve said, we don't want to miss this opportunity, so
Good.
I said, it's a nice day. I bet they'd enjoy seeing the waterfall and
Mhm.
cleaning up stuff down there. So, and they seem like they did, so that's good. And thank you for taking all the
Okay.
stuff to the dump.
my pleasure. I did the easy part.
Yeah, and we
But
thank
they had a nice day. They looked like they had a great time
Good.
out there too.
Good. Yeah, Andrew Dwayne is our subcommittee member who went and met them down there too to show them where where the most stuff would be. So
Mhm.
that worked out well.
Anything else, subcommittee wise?
I don't think so.
All right, where's it get us? Gets us to presentation of the minutes.
All right. I will make a motion to approve the Merrimack Conservation Commission meeting minutes dated July 12th, 2021 with changes as follows.
I'll second.
Do you have anything you want to go first?
I have nothing.
Okay. Anyone want to go first? Then I shall
Couldn't
go
find
first.
anything.
Oh, I always find something.
You always do.
I always do. Okay, so every heading needs to be changed because right now it says Thomas More College site plan. 6:15,
Yeah.
2021 planning board meeting. So Dawn will change that for us because she loves us and wants us to be
I
happy.
did not see that.
Okay, I do want to point out one thing in case anyone was curious. On page, what page are we on? On page 5, on line 8, it says Meridian Land Services would like to discuss a building addition on Beacon Road. Okay, so just so everybody knows, this is really Beacon Drive. But because on the agenda it says Beacon Road, and when you brought it up, you were reading from the agenda and you said Beacon Road, so it has to stay Beacon Road, even though it's really Beacon Drive. So on the rest of it, Spencer Tate, the person who did all of the presentation, he correctly identified it
Oh,
as
yeah.
Beacon Drive. So just in case anyone's curious, that's the shtick there. I think I found one other thing somewhere. Oh, on page 10, line 20. So I'm going to go with, I didn't go back and look, but I'm going to go with Town Manager McCallie indicated the town has purchased sheds previously. I don't know if it was Town Manager Cavanaugh. This was because you and Mike met with Paul McCallie, correct?
Macaulay, yes.
Yes, not with Irene Cavanaugh. So I'm going to
Right.
change Cavanaugh to McCallie. All right, and then also, I also want to point out on page 12, line 38, it says, but 2 years ago, this guy wandered, WONDERED all over the place. That was Jeff Littleton's typo, and because she cut and pasted it, it has to stay wandered. And on page 13, line 9, that should be Greater Woods, not Garter Woods. And that's all I have.
Geez, I read that too.
I did too. Guess I need better glasses.
You're amazing, Gina.
Anyone else on the minutes? Okay, we can go ahead and vote to approve the minutes as amended. All in favor? 5.
You
or
abstain?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 in favor, 1 abstain. We still don't have any members of the public here for public comment, so that brings us to commissioner comments. Ellen, you want to go first?
Yes. Some of you may be involved with or you're aware of the Sauhegan Valley Watershed Council does testing. Used to be once a week, then came COVID and there was nothing, and now this year it's once a month. The results from last week were interesting in that we expected E. coli to be up a little from the rain, but it was higher than expected through Milford and Merrimack. Not shocking, didn't reach the state's level for banning swimming. But, and this is an informal report from the volunteer who pulls them together, just as it reinforces the importance of keeping an eye on sources in the upstream areas. Be careful of what's there to filter the water. Be careful of what's going in. Just continue to be conscious of what kinds of pollutants and fertilizers and whatnot are coming in. But for the most part, something that has improved greatly is the riverbanks are a lot cleaner than they were early in the summer. People are picking up, and I think there's probably less use, recreational use, than there was a year ago. But all the way from Greenville to the Merrimack River, people were saying it's a whole lot cleaner than it has been. So,
Nice.
so that's just a brief update on something that touches on what we do.
Are you part of the Souhegan River Advisory?
I go down to the Turkey Hill Road Bridge, clamber down, and sample water once a month. That's it.
Wonderful. Thank you for doing that.
Slowly.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Did they have feedback in terms of the elevated E. coli? Is just all
Just
the
that
rain
it's-
we've gotten?
Just that it's posted,
Mhm.
and it has not reached a level to pose where the state notes a danger to swimming. But yeah, there's about 24 volunteers that
That's
do
wonderful.
this, and we are dying to get back to doing it more frequently because once a month isn't really going to do it. But now that we all know we're not going to get COVID from going down into the river once a
Right.
month, I do have to take a shower after sampling and seeing the E. coli numbers. But
Yeah.
That's interesting. Anything
That's
else? No? Gina?
So one thing to ask Andy is, are you getting the emails that I send? I have a group email that's Conservation Commission. And I just want to make sure that you're actually getting those emails. I sent something out to everybody asking if they got them, and everybody's responded but you. So I wanted to check with you. Okay, so I need to find out and have you put on the list, Andy on the list. That's how I get everything to everybody. So,
Yes,
I will-
I have not received any of those.
okay. I'll copy you until you start getting them, until I get confirmation that you're on it.
Are you going to send that to Rhonda?
I'm gonna ask Rhonda, yes. Who does it, who
Yeah.
updates it, because I'm not sure who
They
updates
haven't updated the board with Andy or Ellen out
it.
here.
Okay. Update board.
I don't know if the website is,
It's
but
not, well.
we gotta get Ellen.
Yes, actually,
nameplate,
they
too.
are on the board, but they haven't taken Tim off, and your date is, have you gone and gotten yourself renewed?
Thursday.
All right, because we need to update your date. Okay, so they need to update the board at Town Hall. Okay, and I know that the Olympics are on, but I know that all of the good people at Merrimack are watching us instead, because we're so much cooler. So I want to remind dog owners that all those mushrooms out there can be toxic to your dog. So make sure your dogs are not eating those mushrooms, because they look delicious, but they're not. So, and people, if you're going to eat those mushrooms, because there's mushrooms everywhere, be really careful, because some of them are poison. So that's all I have.
Oh. Andy? Eric?
Yeah, just something I noticed on a trip to Wildcat, and I'm sure it's been there for a long time, but in the middle of the Souhegan River, on one of those rock islands where the rocks jut up and there's a tree, hanging off that tree is a wheelbarrow. And I have no idea who got it there or how they got it there. You had to be on a boat of some sort, but I mean, the whole process is just very weird. I'm just letting people know that that's a thing.
Wow.
Near Wildcat, near the falls, really.
Okay.
um,
Before or after the falls?
After the falls.
After falls, wheelbarrow.
Yeah, so if
Mike
you
talked
go
about that,
down,
too.
so if you sort of continue on your way down from where the main meeting point of the falls is, and you go down to where there's sort of like a little lagoon, and there's a
Dog
tiny little
beach.
beach.
Dog
Not-
beach or-
I don't think not the dog beach. I think that's the one further down the river. The one, no one really goes there, but it is there. And you get a better look from the falls from further down the river. And if you look around, you see a very old, rusty wheelbarrow hanging off a tree.
That must have
Probably
taken
been
some
there
effort.
for years.
You just
Right there.
Can you
Yeah.
can you upload that
Yeah.
to all of us, because that
Yeah.
way it can go into the minutes
Mhm. Yeah.
and everyone can see it. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff down there that's I mean, you know that there's a cord that goes all the way across the river.
Yeah.
Okay, because that was back from before when the, when Atherton Falls had the mill. So, a lot of history down there. They used to pull stuff so that it would go across the river.
You take it across the river in a wheelbarrow.
They might have,
That's
you
my-
never know. Or
Anything
one of
else?
our,
That's it.
That's it. Mike?
No, comments?
Nothing? Yeah, I think I hit everything I had. When is our next meeting?
I want to say it's the 16th. Wait, I have it right here. There we go. 16th.
That still is accurate, right?
This is
Okay.
accurate, 16th. And then we don't have another one until September 20th.
So 16th of August?
16th of August. And has anyone been to Wasserman in the last week, 10 days?
No?
Matt Kasparius reached out about several of our trails being blocked. And I'm prepared to mitigate or help mitigate some of those. I just didn't know how big the trees, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. If
I-
someone's down there and you see it, take a picture and shoot it to me and I'll
I
see
have,
if I can do an intervention with those trees.
I have a friend who walks there almost daily. I will ask her.
Would you? That was all I had. Anyone like to make a final motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion by Mike, second by Ellen. All in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you all. Have a great night.